Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Raj here. For all those who don't know me, I'm currently a student admitted at the University of Manchester and I'm hoping to start college this September. So, in today's video, we are talking about atomic habits, tiny changes, remarkable results. I don't know if you're able to see this. I don't actually have the paperback of this book, but yeah. So, before we start diving into this book, I wanted to talk to you a bit about self-help books. I usually did not read self-help books. I thought that they don't actually help and people are just, whoever's reading them, they are wasting their time, and people who are writing them, they are also wasting their time. But actually, Atomic Habits was the first self-help book that I read because I was free the whole day and I did not know what to do. So I just started reading this book. And this book introduced me to a fascinating genre of books, like the genre of books, self-help books, and it made me realize what I was missing on, because I always used to think that these books actually don't help, but this book of just about 200 pages ended up changing a lot about me. So this book is mainly aimed at people who do not usually understand the importance of tiny habits, and to be completely honest with you, I was one of those people, because I did not think that changing my life in tiny little ways was in any way going to help me in the big picture, but this book helped me realize that over a long period of time, these tiny changes are going to be the ones that are going to change your life profoundly. So in the very beginning of the book, the author starts by explaining the 1% rule. In the early years of this century, the British cycling team was really struggling. They were not able to win any medals, they were not able to win any tournaments, and yeah, they were really struggling. But then they hired a performance director called Dave Brailsford, and he completely changed the team. Now you might be thinking in a completely Hollywood kind of way that the new performance director came in and he completely changed the team. He fired all of the staff, he fired all of the players, he got in new players, he bought new bicycles, he created new bicycles, and then the team succeeded. But you're very, very far from the truth if you're thinking that way. What Dave did was he introduced the concept of tiny changes over a long period of time. For example, the bicycle riders were not quite comfortable in the seats that they were on this bicycle, so he started off by changing the seats of the bicycle. He started off by telling people to clean the seats of the bicycle. Once he changed the race suits to make them more aerodynamic. So you might think that these tiny changes on themselves cannot make a person go from last on the grid to winning a race. And you're true, rubbing alcohol on a seat is not the answer to winning a race. But these changes, some changes like this, tiny changes over an extended period of time, every day for a long period of time, are going to cause the biggest change in results. And so it did happen. In 2012, the British cycling team ended up winning the most medals of all the cycling teams. And they also ended up winning the Tour de France, which is like the most prestigious cycling race event.
I think she's claimed the gold medal. 6 gold medals for Chris Hoy. Fantastic performance and a new world record. Another medal for Bradley Wiggins.
It's amazing. It was just a dream come true.
Wiggins has made sporting history. Chris Froome wins the Tour de France for a second time.
So now let's put this into perspective. For example, if you change just 1% for a complete year, for 365 days of a year, according to the math done by James Clear in his book, you are going to be improving 37 times by the end of the year. So you have become 37 times better than what you were in the beginning of the year. If you stay constant, you're obviously going to keep remaining constant, and if you're getting worse each day by 1%, you actually decline almost to zero by the end of the year. So that is just the power of compounding at work. Another thing that the author talks about in the very beginning of the book is about the plateau of latent potential. So for this, he's given a really elegant example. For example, you take an ice cube from your refrigerator and you keep it on the table on room temperature. Now, the room temperature generally is about 26 degrees. So let's say 26 degrees Celsius. Now, what you do is you keep increasing the temperature of the room by 1 degree Celsius at regular intervals. And you're seeing the ice cube at 27, it's yet the same. At 28, it's yet the same. At 29, it's yet the same. 30, it remains the same. But on hitting 31 degrees Celsius, you notice that the ice cube is starting to melt away. And what your brain thinks is that 31 degrees is where the ice melts. But you couldn't be more wrong. The work is happening all along. It is happening right from 26 degrees. It keeps happening, and at 31, you actually see the result. Before that, you're not seeing the result, but the work is happening. It is the same as, when people talk about overnight success stories. They say that one night before he was not a rich person and the very next morning he became rich. Why people talk of it like that is because they do not know the work that has gone into that thing before that one night. So the person who people claim to have had overnight success has actually worked a lot on that thing, and that point was where he actually got the result. So before that, he was in what the author calls the valley of disappointment. So let's have a look at this graph. What people usually want is to keep seeing linear results, but in our world, which is not an idealistic world, that thing doesn't generally happen. The graph goes from bottom to up in a curve. And the thing in between is the valley of disappointment, where you're not actually seeing the results. And that is the time when a person is very prone to give up. And that is where you have to be careful. Another thing that the author talks about are goals. He says that the goals are not at all important. You might think that you have to keep a goal. Now, for example, you are starting to work out and you have a goal that you want to get a 5-star body, you want to have abs, you want to have big muscles and whatnot. People can have a lot of goals actually. So what the author says is that goals are not as important as you might think. What is more important than goals is the process, because you might get very much hung up on goals. Now, for example, you have a photo of The Rock when you're working out and you say that I want to look like him after working out. But for example, you work out for 7 days and you somehow convince yourself that I'm going to see the results later on. So you keep working out every day for an hour for 7 days. You keep punishing yourself, and at the end of the 7th day, you see that, oh my god, there's actually no change in me. Oh, why am I wasting my time? And you give up at that time. So what happens is that you then give up thinking that I'm never going to be like The Rock because I don't have it in me. So that is why the author says not to keep a lot of goals. One quote that has stayed with me from the book is, the purpose of setting goals is to win the game, but the purpose of building the system is to continue playing the game. So now, what is actually the process of creating new habits? So the author says that creating new habits happens in 4 steps. The first step is cue, which is something that triggers your brain that you have to do something. The second is a craving that makes the habit attractive. The third is response, that is actually doing what you want to do. And the fourth is reward, that is seeing results. And from these 4 steps of habit creation, the author has given us the 4 laws of habit change. The 4 laws of habit change are such. The first one is make it obvious. The second one is make it attractive. Then you make it easy. And then there's the reward. So what is make it obvious? Now, this is something that is going to help almost anybody on this planet. So what you do, for example, you want to start drinking protein shake and you do not actually like the taste of it very much, but you know that you have to drink it. So what you should do is, when you're sleeping, you keep the glass of the protein shake, the empty glass, and beside it you keep your powder, your protein shake powder. So when you get up in the morning, the first thing that you're going to see is the ingredients of the protein shake, and you know that, oh, I know that I have to make it. Now, if you keep it in a closet in your kitchen, you are not actually seeing it in front of your eyes, and you know that I have to do all this work. You have a lot of friction between you and the protein shake. So you think, you know what, I'm not going to drink it today because I have to do a lot of work to just make a glass of protein shake. But when you have all the ingredients in front of you, you're making it obvious that, yeah, I have to do it, and you end up doing it. The second step is to make it attractive. Now, we started with protein shake, so I guess let's stick to protein shake for now. To make it attractive is to trigger your brain into thinking that, wow, it is a good process and I actually want to do it. So what you do is you learn about different ways in which you can make the protein shake more tasty, or you can try to think of ways in which you can make it more innovative. And in that way, you have become attracted into the process of making a protein shake and then drinking it. The third step is to make it easy. Now in this step, I want to talk about working out. Many people, when they start working out, they usually start with the big routines. They start with the 1 hour routine with a lot of cardio, with a lot of hard work, and then think that workout is not for them, it's too hectic, and then they quit. What you should do is start slowly and start easy. You should start with something as minute as a 7-minute workout or a 10-minute workout every morning. And once you're doing that, you think that, you know what, it's easy and I can do it. And once you're doing it, once you keep doing it, then it turns into a habit. Once a habit sticks, it becomes a completely automatic process. So it does not actually need willpower from you once it has become a habit. And the fourth is to reward yourself immediately. Now, even if you may not like it, your brain is set in such a way that it always wants instant gratification. It wants rewards. It wants to be happy. So always keep some reward at the end of an exercise or at the end of any habit that you're picking up. So for example, it might be that after working out, I'm going to watch one episode of my favorite show on Netflix. So in this way, even before you start actually working out, you will think that once I start working out, once I finish working out, I'll be able to watch my favorite show on Netflix. And that is the thing with instant reward. So now you'll have a very definitive question, is that now I've actually understood how to create new habits. What about if I want to break bad habits? And that is just the same process, but the other way around. Instead of making it obvious, make it difficult. Now, for example, you do not want to drink coffee in the morning. So hide the coffee powder, or do not even buy a coffee powder. So you deliberately increase the friction between you and the coffee powder. In that way, you'll not be able to drink coffee. So that is the very first point, make it difficult. Second, make it unattractive. Google things that convince you that drinking coffee is bad. So just go to Google and search why is this and this bad. So for example, if you want to quit smoking, go to Google, search why is smoking bad. Of course, there's no reason that smoking is good. You'll actually see a lot of reasons, and you'll make it unattractive for yourself, and you'll think that I'm deliberately harming my body by doing that. So in that way, it becomes unattractive. The third way is again the opposite of make it easy, make it difficult. And the fourth one is to not keep any reward. So there's no reward for a bad habit. So as you know, to break a bad habit is generally a little bit tougher than to create a new habit. So you have to be really, really firm about your decisions when you're trying to break a bad habit. Another thing that gets talked about very less is identity change. Now, for example, I'm taking the example of smoking. You want to get rid of smoking. Now, for example, one of your friends offers you a cigarette and says that, come on, let's smoke, and you say that, you know what, I'm trying to quit smoking, so I'm not going to be doing it. So that is what you should not be doing. What you should be doing is just tell the person that I'm a person who does not smoke. You put that into your identity. You tell yourself that I am a person who does not do this. Now, if you're starting working, if you want to start to work out, just put it in your identity that I'm a person who works out. I'm a person who exercises regularly. Not that I'm going to be starting exercising and I'm going to become a person who is going to be exercising. Just tell yourself, and if somebody asks you, tell them that I'm a person who exercises regularly. So that is your identity now, and you have changed your identity. That's it from my end, guys. This was the first time I've reviewed a book or I've talked about something other than college and studying and stuff, and I really wanted to do something like this. So if you want me to continue doing such videos, please let me know. And I hope that this video was helpful for you, and that in some way, even in the tiniest way, you will be able to change your habits. So if you also want to buy this book, you can click on the link in the description, and it is definitely recommended that you buy this book, because I've not talked about many things that are in this book. I've only spoken about the top things, the things that I really took away from the book. So if you want to know more about these habits, please read this book written by James Clear. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you again in the next video.